boxing was the first sport to deliver an Olympic medal to Uganda when Eridad Mukwanga and Leo Rawogo delivered silver and bronze respectively at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. Leo Rawogo went on to win silver at the 1972 Games in Munich. In 1984, John Mugabe delivered Uganda's last boxing Olympic medal in Los Angeles. Since then, the sport has struggled to scale the heights, with the last decent performance coming from Sam Rukundo in Athens in 2004, when he stopped at the quarterfinals of the Games. The sport that was ranked number 1 on the medal-winning chart for the country is struggling to get on its feet. Shadir Musawoji captained the Bombers at the last Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020. He fought 6 times, but ultimately it wasn't good enough. He says the country has the capability and talent to deliver the biggest stage, but team selection for the Olympic qualifiers is not done on merit.
They no longer care about the best. It's all about favors, which denies a chance to the boxers who would have qualified.
KCCA Boxing Club coach Vicky Byarugaba is one of the boxers from the golden era of Uganda's boxing, whose career ended after the 1984 Olympic Games. He says there are lots of avenues that the Uganda Boxing Federation can use to ensure the game goes back to where it used to be.
It is the responsibility of the federations to mobilize if they want to mobilize through roundtable discussions or call seminars of former boxers and sportsmen.
The issue of coaching is one that gets tricky as well. Ever since the passing of coaches Dick Katende and Kent Musa, there has been question marks about the coaching of boxers of the national team. In the sport of boxing, like any other individual sport, the relationship between coach and boxer has to be strong.
First of all, you've got to understand your boxers. You've got to know their weaknesses, find out their strengths, okay? Train them against certain techniques for how to box a southpaw, how to box unorthodox.
When I came, I sat down with my coach. Coach Byarugaba called me, Vicky, and he was like, you know what? You're one of the best boxers we have in Uganda. And when I look into everyone, I see you're the name that can go in the Olympics and qualify. And even late Zebra Mando Senyange also called me, told me the same stuff.
There are also unanswered questions on the quality of coaches in charge of the national team.
We've got Sekabira. I think Sekabira is the highest trained coach, this UPDF guy. But as you can see, he's not on the national team. The considered people are not the ones who are there. We've got coaches, is it 2-star? Sekabira should be, is it 3-star? The equivalent, I should be on the equivalent of 3-star. But my qualifications had been rejected by the federation.
The country's good performance in the golden years can also be attributed to the contribution of foreign coaches who were hired to coach the national team, but also help teach local coaches new boxing trends.
The last time we had boxing come up after our era is when we brought in Lazarus to be a coach, the Cuban, to train Uganda. That's why he brought in the Lulwas and all those young boxers.
He enhanced the local national coaches we had here to a greater extent, and that is why the late Dick Katende, late Kent Musa were able to in turn also impart knowledge that made us remain buoyant at world-class events.
There is also a school of thought that the deaths of national team coaches Dick Katende and Kent Musa left a huge gap in the coaching of the national team, with most coaches not abreast with trending international boxing techniques.
Let Kent Musa and let Dick Katende passed on. There was a gap, and of course the local coaches are trying their best to put some product on market, but certainly it is not on par. Our coaches have not been able, they are not at breast with the current boxing style, And this has not only affected Uganda, but the entire sub-Sahara Africa.
The lucrativeness or lack of it in boxing throws up a different challenge altogether, with boxers now looking for quick avenues to professional boxing as a means to make ends meet, has seen many a boxer make a quick move to the paid ranks quickly, with disastrous repercussions.
The demands and the interests of the boxers at this time have changed. For us, we used to do it for for God and our country. We did it for fame, you know.
When you look at Ugandan boxing, there is no money. They are not paying anyone. And when you go back and look at amateur boxing, you talked about Champions League. When you talk about Champions League, every boxer is paid 50K per game. And when you come and box for 50K today, and you spend like 2 months without going into the ring, or 3 months, and then they reschedule a fight for you again, and you go back in the ring and fight for another 50K. How are you going to live for the 3 months or 2 months without boxing?
The development and nurturing of boxers currently leaves a lot to be desired. The basic fundamentals of the sport are lacking at the crucial stage of their development. All this is there for all to see when the boxers are on the international stage.
Most boxers are here, but not on a basic of boxing. They're just here for passion, whereby you find someone on the streets or where he lives in a village and he's like, I want to be a boxer because he's passionate about that. You find him going and join the gym and starting from there, from nowhere, putting on gloves, starting hitting a bag, doing sparrings, and then he's into the ring for championship, whereby he needs basic boxing, school boxing, etc. for him to upgrade and becomes a better boxer.
Coach Vicky Byarugaba points out some of the glaring boxing errors that show a lack of basic training and nurturing of our boxers, coupled with poor officiating standards in the game today.
There is a lot of power punching in today's boxing. For us, we had movement. We had to move, but with some power punching and speed. This is our boxers have become now the boxing. I see most boxers are flat-footed. They're looking for knockout punches. The officiation itself have changed because I don't see any more fouls. A referee is in the ring for 3 rounds. Is not cautioning any of the boxers, which is unusual. As boxers, we are told to keep on our toes. Box, you keep your height. Eh? You keep the central axis.
The veteran boxing coach further says the standard and operating method of the national boxing coach back then was a lot higher than it is today.
At the time when we were boxing, the national coach was being paid by the National Council of Sports. He was an employee of the National Council of Sports. He was answerable to the National Council of Sports. After every boxing tournament, he had to give a report to the administration.
The fact that now boxing has only one source of funding in the government of Uganda can also be partly blamed for the country's poor performance.
At the time when we were boxing, we had corporate bodies. We had Kilembe Mines, we had Nightil, we had Uganda Army also used to sponsor. Okay? At least they used to support. There was KCC, there was Ryan Textiles. All those companies used to support boxing in one way or the other. Okay? At the moment, there's almost nothing.
We have not been able to go for friendly tournaments, for world-class tournaments, where we could gauge ourselves and make necessary changes.
Perhaps the utter neglect of the special roles the club and the federation are meant to play in the final production of complete boxers is also to blame.
A club is supposed to box up to the national level. The competition is national level, from where the federation technical team picks the relevant boxers for the national team. Okay? And that's where the club stops.
After the 2020 Olympics, the Uganda Boxing Federation instituted a competition called the Boxing Champions League. The end goal was to ensure that boxers have enough competition locally. However, Coach Byarugaba believes it has not lived up to its expectation.
There is, well, when you get the people at the National Champions League, you get the champion and the runner-up, they will never come back to box in the national championships. After they are champions and runner-up, they stay there. They only wait again for these boys who come from national championships to box against.
Despite the shortcomings, Uganda Boxing Federation General Secretary Simon Barigo is adamant that the federation has run things smoothly. He says the door to qualify boxers for the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris is still open, and also calls on the public to look at boxing as it should be, a science sport. Uganda is yet to qualify a boxer for the Summer Olympics in Paris. However, there is one more window, with the last qualification taking place in Bangkok, Thailand. The competition, that will run from 23rd May to June 3rd, will be Uganda Boxing's last chance. Felix Manyindo, NTV Sport.